Washington state is a community property state. All property acquired by either spouse during the marriage is community property owned equally by both. Washington's community property system reflects a partnership theory of marriage, treating the contributions of both spouses as jointly creating the marital estate. Washington's community property rules for creditors: a community obligation, a debt incurred during the marriage for community purposes, can be satisfied from all community property, including the separate earnings and community assets of both spouses. Washington's community property creates broad creditor access to marital assets when the debt is a community obligation. Individual separate debts, obligations incurred before marriage, after permanent separation, or for purely personal separate purposes, are generally enforceable only against the debtor spouse's separate property and potentially their share of community property. Washington's community property and divorce. In Washington, community property is divided equitably in divorce. Washington uses a just and equitable standard rather than a strict equal division rule. This gives Washington courts somewhat more discretion than states with hard equal division presumptions. Washington's homestead exemption is $125,000, protecting that amount of primary residence equity from creditor execution. Wage garnishment in Washington. Washington follows the federal garnishment limits with some state-specific modifications. Washington limits garnishment to 25% of disposable earnings, with additional protections for debtors earning near the minimum wage. Washington does not recognize tenancy by the entirety. Community property law governs marital joint ownership. Washington's community property framework may give creditors with community debts broader access to marital assets. Both spouses' community earnings are potentially accessible than a comparable equitable distribution state analysis would allow. People Locator skip tracing provides Washington state debtor investigation under the community property framework. Visit peoplelocatorskiptracing.com to place your order.